As you all know, CoD Champs is just over a week away from kicking off, but there really are no other CDL events to talk about, so I thought, let's talk about Champs. I didn't have any other ideas for a video, so I thought let's look at the odds for Champs and look at it from the perspective of a potential bettor and see where the odds are good, where the odds are bad, and where I think it would be smartest to put your money if you want to bet on CoD Champs. So if you enjoy this video, definitely leave a like down below and leave a comment as well with your thoughts on the video and who you think are the best value picks for Champs. And also subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more of CDL breakdown videos from me in the future. I do appreciate all of that a lot, and let's hop right into it. So on screen are the odds for Champs. These odds are as of August 2nd, so they could change slightly when you're seeing this or until the event starts, but they probably won't change much because nothing will really happen that should cause them to change unless like a crazy roster move or something would happen. So for the most part, they should stay pretty consistent. We have the Atlanta FaZe on there on top, of course. Even though they had their very disappointing top 8 placement at the Stage 5 Major, they still are the favorites to win Champs, and by a considerable margin. Then we get into a pretty big cluster, the 2 through 5 spots. Toronto Ultra at number 2, Minnesota Rocker at number 3, Optic Chicago at number 4, and Dallas Empire at number 5. I am a little bit surprised to see Dallas ranked so low, as you'll see here in a minute. And then we get to the very less likely teams to win this. New York Subliners at what, plus 3,300 at 6th best odds. LA Thieves plus 4,100 at the 7th best odds, and then dead last with the Florida Mutineers. They're a distant dead last at plus 6,600. So there's a wide spectrum of odds here. Of course, the odds makers are pretty much saying nobody outside the top 5 is going to win this event. I think most people agree with that, but there still can be some value down there in those lower teams and also some overvalued teams. So let's hop right in and see where I think there's value and see where there's some bets that maybe I would stay away from. As we go through this, you have to remember value does not necessarily mean you should bet money on those teams. It just simply means this team, I think they're a little bit mispriced. Their odds are not where they really should be. They should have better odds of winning than they really do, and that is where you find value in betting. You don't always win with every single bet, but if you find value consistently, that is how you make money over the long run. And there are two teams that really stand out to me as having some serious value with their odds, and the first has to be the Dallas Empire. They're plus 550. That's the 5th best odds to win the event, but I can't see them finishing that lowly. I just can't. I mean, they're defending champs. They played well all last year. They played well on land and online. They've been solid this year throughout the entire course of the year, except for like that little down spot in around stage 3 or so. They have the championship experience. 3 of these 4 guys obviously were champions last year. Crim6 has the most titles in Call of Duty history. Shotzzy and Illy coming off of their championship last year. You know, multiple championships throughout the year last year, but then their champs ring to end the year. I think a lot of people might be down on this team because they performed a little bit poorly at the last major. They got 4th, which is not bad, but it's a little bit worse than they were expected to perform coming into the event. And I think a lot of that had to do with Shotzzy. He definitely had a bad event, but that's not something I would bet on happening twice. I think Shotzzy is one of the best players in the world. I do not see him having a letdown in an event 2 times in a row. Crim6, I think he'll be playing good Call of Duty because it's champs. That's what he does. He will play best in the biggest moments. Vivid and Illy have been playing better lately as well. So they did have that letdown at stage 4, or at stage 5, excuse me. But I don't see that happening again. So I think there's very good value in the Dallas Empire all the way down at the 5th best odds to win. And then also the LA Thieves. So they're plus 4,000. That's the 7th best odds. They're behind the New York Subliners, and I cannot see that. I guess it makes sense because they are starting in the losers bracket, which means they cannot. If they lose once, they're done, whereas New York can lose twice before they're eliminated, but still, I can't see how this team can be behind NYSL. I know they just beat New York 3-2. They barely snuck by them at the last major, and like I said, they are starting in losers, but this team to me is clearly better than New York, and they clearly are a team who has the potential and the team build to make a run. How far, I don't know, but I can definitely see them getting better than 7th, and that's where they're placed in the odds. I just don't see that happening. You have Slasher at champs. I mean, how much better can it get? Slasher is a great championship performer. It's LAN, it's champs. Slasher will definitely show up. There's no doubt in my mind. He showed up at the Major 5. The rest of his team did not. Also, they have 3 out of their 4 players who have won championships during their careers. Slasher and John, of course, are both world champions and multiple-time champions. And then Kenny won multiple championships as well over the course of the World War II season and then in Black Ops 4 also. So there's a lot of championship pedigree in this team. And then Draza, he has not won a chip as far as I know, but he's still a very good player. Him and Slasher, I would say, were their best 2 players at the Stage 5 Major. Kenny and John slacked a little bit, but I do think Kenny will show up in this one. Like I said, they are big-time players. They will show up when the lights are the brightest. And if they can get more out of John and out of Kenny, and Slasher and Draza keep playing the way they've been playing, this is definitely a very dangerous team, even though they are starting in the losers bracket. Then there are 2 teams who stand out to me as being overvalued in the odds in this one, and the first one is the Minnesota Rocker. And I am a big Minnesota Rocker fan. I cheer for them all the time, except when they're playing Optic. I absolutely love those guys. I'm very happy they won the last major, but them only being plus 400 with the third best odds to win this tournament does not make sense to me. You could say they peaked at the wrong time and they hit their peak at the last, at the Stage 5 major, or you could just say it was a fluke and it won't happen again. I think either of those points have some merit because we really have not seen them have any success throughout the entire year. I mean, they haven't been bad. Like, they've been, top 4 once, top 6, top 4 maybe twice. They've had decent placements, but they have never been first except that one placement at the Stage 5 major. So they have not been a top 3 team at all over the course of the season. They've been like top 5, top 6. So for them to have the third best odds, I think is a little bit risky. I definitely am fading them, or if I was betting, I would not be putting money on these guys at their odds. No way. And then New York as well. I have them listed on there. I don't know why I have them at plus 300. I think they're plus 3,300. That is the 6th best odds. And I think instead of saying Hail Hydra, they should be saying Help Hydra, because the rest of the team was awful at the major. Hydra was great. He had like a 1.5 KD in the series they lost. He was very good, but nobody else really stepped up at all, and they have not had much success since Stage 3, since Glacier's been out of there. They got second at the Stage 3 major, and have been downhill since, so they're trending in the wrong way at the wrong time. I can't really see them doing much better than 6th. I see them getting 7th or 8th, so I definitely have the New York Subliners as a team that I would not be betting on if I was betting on this event. And then you have the other 4 teams who I think are fairly valued. I think Optic at plus 450 with the 4th best odds makes perfect sense. They've been right in that top 4 range all season long. They have 3 4th place finishes, 1 3rd place finish, and 1 top 6 finish at the 5 majors this year. So they're right in that 4th place range. Of course, they could do better. They could do worse. Scump and Formal should come up to play. It's champs on land. They should be playing their best Call of Duty, so their ceiling is definitely higher. Their ceiling is as high as number 1, but on average, 4th makes a lot of sense for these guys. Florida at plus 6,600 with the least or the worst odds to win this. There might be a little bit of value there. Maybe I could have them at undervalue, but their problem is they're so inconsistent and they're starting in losers bracket, so there is no room for error for this team. So could they make a run? Of course, we've seen them beat plenty of top teams throughout the course of this year, but we've also seen them lose a lot of matches that they shouldn't lose, and they just can't do that when they're in a losers bracket. They lose once, they're done. So they're not in a good spot, even though their ceiling is definitely higher than the 8th. Their ceiling is probably as high as like top 4. They just can't do it consistently enough, and when they have no margin for error, it's going to be tough for them to make any kind of a run, in my opinion. FaZe at plus 162 with the best odds makes sense to me. They are still the best team despite their disappointment at the last major. I'm not saying they're going to win this event. I don't know who I'm predicting to win this event. However, I do think that it makes sense to be the favorites because they've shown over the course of the season they've been the best team. They'll make the adjustments. They should be better at the LAN or at the champs than they were at the Stage 5 major. I cannot see them getting double first rounded and bouncing this one. I'd be very surprised. Toronto, second best odds at plus 350. If I had to throw them in under or over, I'd probably throw them a little bit overvalued, but I still think they're pretty fairly valued. I think they were not having the best success there towards the end of Stage 5, but they really they showed up and played well at the major. They're a very good team. I'd have them in that top 2-3 range. They've been that way pretty much all season long, except when they, of course, had methods in there for insight. But since then, they've been very good. They've been a top 2, 3, 4 team. So having them second best odds makes sense. They were one map away from sweeping Minnesota in the grand finals before that crazy reverse sweep. So they obviously can beat any team in the CDL. They've beaten every team. They can do it again, and they're definitely one of the top teams as we approach champs. And now just to sort of sum it all up visually, here is how I have my power rankings and then how I feel the best value picks are as we approach the major in order. Or the champs, not the major, excuse me. So for the power rankings, I have FaZe at 1. Like I said, I think they make the most sense to be the favorites. I have Empire at 2, which is why they are number 1 in the best value. They're number 1 by a long shot to me in the best value because I think they're the second most likely team to win this event. I think, obviously, I have them at number 2 in my rankings, but they have the 5th best odds. So without a doubt, as soon as I saw those odds, I said, Empire has the best odds here. They clearly have the best value. Ultra, I have at number 3 in my rankings, so I had them at 4 in the best value because they are number 2. So like I said, they could be slightly overpriced, but still they make sense in that number 2, 3-ish range. Optic, I have 4 in my rankings, 5 in my value. Rocker, I have 5th in my rankings and 7th in my value because, like I said, they are the number 3 team in terms of most likely to win this event according to the odds, and I just don't see that. I think they peaked. I can't see them matching their performance from Stage 5 major at champ, so unfortunately, as much as I love those guys, I do have them towards the bottom of the value plays because I just can't see them replicating that performance and getting back into the top 3. At number 6, I have the Thieves, and I have them actually all the way up at number 2 in the odds, just because, or in the value, because plus 4,100, that is pretty steep for a team with Slasher, Kenny, John, and Drazorna. That's a very good team. I know they're starting in losers, so it's not likely, but I think if any of those bottom 3 teams was going to make a big run at this thing, it most certainly is them. I just think they have the potential to do it. They have the players to do it. They can get hot, and like they did last year, they got very hot before they very narrowly lost to the Huntsmen last year. So if they got hot, they can make a run. They're probably not going to win, but at plus 4,100, that is very good value in my opinion. 7 for the rankings, the Mutineers, and then I have them at 6th for the value. Like I said, plus 6,600 is it's a little bit steep for a team who can get going, can get hot, but them starting in the losers bracket is just not good for them. They really are not consistent enough to be able to put an entire run through the whole tournament without losing one, because if they lose one, they're done. They're probably going to lose at some point without winning this whole event. And then last place in both my rankings and the value is the New York Subliners. I cannot see this team doing anything at this champs, unfortunately, because I love a lot of the guys in this team, but I just can't see it from them. They have the 6th best odds, but they are the worst team in my opinion, so they definitely are the worst value. Overall, I am not betting on this event, but these are just sort of the value plays. If I was putting my money to use here, I'd be looking in that right side in that best value column, and that'd sort of be where I'd be putting my money. I think Empire definitely makes the most sense right now, given they have the 5th best odds, but they're the defending champs. They've been playing better. They've been showing up on LAN. Shotzzy will not crap the bet again. He will come to play at champs, no doubt in my mind. So there's value there. There's value in some other teams, and overall, that's how I see it shaking out at champs. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, definitely leave a like down below. Leave a comment as well with your thoughts on the video, and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more videos like this one from me in the future. I appreciate all of that so very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a good day today, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.